Hey Virgo, I hope you guys are doing well. I want to go and get into your reading for the beginning of May. I know I'm a little bit late, but better late than never. Yeah, been super sick and been super busy now that I'm back to work. So let's go and get into your reading for May 2019. Show me Virgo energy, please, for May 2019, Virgo. I'm sorry if I sound still sick because I've got a sinus infection. Sexy. Show me Virgo. Energies for Virgo. What's going on for Virgo? You have the Ten of Wands here, Virgo. You know, it's like putting down burden. I think that this is almost like not so much the desire to, it's more of the desire to let it go. You know, we're coming to a close with it. We're letting it go. We're seeing things for what they are. And, you know, we're utilizing a lot of that for what it is that makes sense for us. What's the next, what's the best way that we can incorporate what we've learned into our next phase? Okay. Somebody may be thinking a lot about what they've done, what they've gone through with a person. It can be involving the home, you know, and it may also be a situation where it's like you feel that you might want to resurrect something. You might still see the light, or I'm sorry, the life and the longevity in a situation, and you might want to rebuild on that. That's what I'm feeling here. Then you have the Four of Pentacles popping out. The Four of Pentacles talks about withholding. It talks about holding. It talks about not letting anything in, not letting anything out. It talks about stagnancy. And it can also talk about holding on to, say, a relationship that may have kind of reached a turning point, holding on to it to salvage things. So you have death in reverse here. It's interesting because you have this card, you also have death here. Scorpio is being heavily presented here. Virgo. Death in reverse talks about coming back to a situation that may be something that had died before. And honestly, I feel like somebody's trying to either see the potential in something and resurrect it, and they're holding on to it. You know, and having a hard time letting go. That's what I'm feeling here. Somebody's having a hard time letting go, and it's like they're maybe thinking about how they could resurrect something or if they should. And it's interesting because some of you, this will not be a good idea. Some of you, this will not be a good idea for you to be resurrecting this. It's like in this Four of Pentacles, we have somebody that's holding on. They're holding on to dear life for those pentacles, but behind them is the death card. Behind them is that Scorpio energy. It's more about death and rebirth, removing something that no longer has to be in your life or should be in your life. And here it feels like somebody is stuck. It feels like somebody doesn't want to move on. And even though the inside feels like you know that you should move on, you know that it's unhealthy to stay tethered to a situation. It's almost as if the desire for stability, the desire of the foundation between you and somebody else is, it's almost like too much on the mind. It's too much on the mind, I feel, and it's causing a situation where we are wanting to come back and do something about that. So let's keep going. Let's pull more cards. Show me for Virgo. You have the Emperor, Aries energy. Somebody may be dealing with somebody who's very stubborn, stuck in their way, very difficult to deal with. And, you know, either this could be you, Virgo, where you're having to deal with somebody who is stuck in their ways and they're very unyielding, very difficult to be around, their way or the highway. And it's like some of you may be holding on to a relationship like that, and that's actually damaging. That's not healthy. And I would never advocate for something of that nature. Some of you, this person is holding on. We have this is fire energy. We have the fire sign. This is the only other fire sign here. Okay. This may be this person wanting to hold on to you. It could be that they may have changed a bit and seen their ways, but also I think some of them are going to be sticking to how they feel, how they operate. Show me more. The Five of Pentacles here, Virgo. So you go from the Four of Pentacles to the Five of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is holding on to something. And then I feel here it's almost as if we're recognizing somebody for who they are. And even as much as we want to love them, even as much as we want to care for them and hold them, in our lives and in our hearts, it might be the best thing for us to let it go, and that can be very difficult for people. That can be very difficult in general, yeah, very difficult for somebody. The Ace of Swords here. With the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So this is basically, basically changing the direction of your course, reevaluating something. It's important, Virgo, to not be blinded by your desire for somebody, to not be, blinded by your inability to be honest with yourself about the reality of how they've presented themselves in the past. Be careful about that. Be careful about not being honest with yourself because you desire a specific outcome and you feel that working for a certain thing is going to be most important, and things can be healed and all of that stuff. Like, I think it's very important for you to have a shrewd perception in this situation. Be very conscious of what somebody has presented you in the past. Be conscious of how many times you've been put out in the cold by them. And I don't mean just, they broke up with you. I mean, emotionally cold, emotionally distant. The Emperor is somebody who, in his benevolent form, he is somebody who is very diligent. He rules an empire. He's somebody who maintains things. He's less emotional. He's more rational. He's more get up and go and do and do and do and do to the grindstone, nose to the grindstone. And sometimes he can be very absent in regard to emotions, in regard to connection in that way. Here, I think we need to be conscious of that. I think we need to not blind ourselves to the realities of how somebody keeps us at arm's length, how somebody maybe is very difficult to deal with. I feel that it's important to hear, and I need to say this for some reason, sex is important in relationships, but like if the sex was good and everything else was not so great, don't stay in it for the sex. Like that's no reason to maintain a relationship, okay? So I'm going to pull clarifiers for these cards here, Virgo. Show me the Nine of Wands for Virgo. So you have 3 cards popping out. So for the 10 of Wands, you have, interesting, all fire energy, by the way. You have the 3 of Wands, the 4 of Wands, and then you have the Magician all in reverse here, okay? So this is essentially energy. The Magician in reverse, first of all, is somebody who's very difficult to deal with. He doesn't even have to be difficult to deal with. He can be somebody who's very smooth in his operation, but he's deceptive, he's demeaning, he's somebody that will essentially work against you while making you think that he has your best interest at heart. Like he's somebody in it for himself. He wants what he wants and how he wants it, and that's how he goes about it. And I think it's important here for somebody to recognize that type of behavior, whether that be the both of you, somebody recognizing for what they've caused and the other person recognizing for what they've experienced. But either way, no matter how you slice it, we're giving up on a situation. It doesn't provide stability. It doesn't provide foundations. It may have gotten in the way of a home and relationship situation where you may have lived together. It may have broken up a family situation. I would be careful about that, you know. I would be careful about what you give to, really, honestly, because it feels like some of you do want to give to this, and it feels like maybe on the flip side, the person that caused this may want to give to you. And for the majority of people here, I really don't think that this is something that could be solid. I think that this is like a lesson, and we need to be gracious enough to receive the lesson and move forward, move past it. Please don't hold it. Please don't stay in this stagnancy and, you know, poison yourself. We have to have movement here. All of these cards, these ace cards, they're all about ace cards, the wands cards, they're all about movement. They're primarily in reverse here. And the one that is upright is not looking too hot. He's not looking too happy. He's kind of exhausted here. And it's about letting go of the burdens. The Ten of Wands, we hold the burdens. We carry the burdens. Here, we've let the burdens go. We have one rod, and it's holding us up. Utilize the information that you've experienced to hold you up in this and propel you into the next phase of your own life, okay? You don't have to maintain something that's not healthy. Show me the Four of Pentacles for Virgo. So you have the Knight of Swords here for the Four of Pentacles with Justice at the bottom of the deck. So essentially, Virgo, it's important to communicate what it is. The Four of Pentacles can also talk about just somebody who is not communicating, somebody who is just shut off and not being present for anything right now, or not being present to a specific person. It feels like communication, though, needs to happen in regard to what is right, what makes things right here. And I don't really think that staying in this situation is going to make it right. I feel communicating the chopping block is more so in the right direction for things. It allows things to move forward for you where you're no longer stagnant, where you're no longer holding on to a situation that's unhealthy. And that communication fairly tends to be blunt. It's honest. It can be a little bit jagged and upset and angry at times, but that needs to come out. Don't hold it in. You know, and if you also need to see a therapist, totally good too. Not a problem. Just be honest with yourself about what you need in your life, okay? Show me Death in reverse for Virgo. Show me Death in reverse for Virgo. So you have here the Eight of Wands, Four of Pentacles, and you have the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so here, Virgo, we're basically communicating with this Death in reverse. This is having a difficult time letting go of a situation that we know needs to be buried, we know needs to let go, but we're still back in it. We're still can't get away from it. We're communicating now. We're communicating that we don't want this. The Four of Cups here, we're pouring out the cup. This is somebody who doesn't want to be engaged in a situation. It's somebody who's had the option to look into, well, do I put energy and effort into this? Do I make it work? Or do I look at those Three Pentacles and the Five Pentacles in the background? Do you see? Here, the Three of Pentacles is somebody wanting to work on something. The Three of Pentacles talks about a situation where we are in tandem with our partner, with our people, with our person. We want to do the same thing. We want to maintain the same goals and reach the same situation, like reach the same goals. But in the background, I do want to mention here, do you see how these Five Pentacles are separate from the Three? Okay. You have the Five of Pentacles here. You could work on it, But will you ever be eye to eye with this person? Will you ever actually be eye to eye with this person? I don't know if you will or not. I'm going to pull one more for the Eight of Pentacles. Show me the Eight of Pentacles. Let it go. The Five of Cups, let it go. You know, if you're entertaining getting back into this, it's primarily because of regret and sadness, it feels. At the bottom of the deck, the Three of Pentacles. If you are entertaining wanting to get back into this, it's primarily because you feel regret, you feel sadness, but it almost feels like you need to pay attention to the actions of this person, how they treat you. It doesn't feel like this person is very present with you, or they have a hard time being present with themselves, which in turn causes a lot of disruption. Show me the Emperor here for Virgo. So it feels like we're needing to take a break. We're needing to shut this out. Somebody is of two minds in regard to this decision making that needs to happen with this Emperor person. Could be an Aries, but the Four of Swords here talks about taking a break. It talks about getting solid in our lives. It talks about doing things for ourselves, retreating, healing, taking time off. Here it's like we're stuck in our mind. There's a stagnation, you know. Sometimes there's a what do they call it, a stalemate. But I feel here more. This is like just a need to not be in combat with somebody, not be in communication with somebody. That's what it feels like. You need time. Somebody here needs time to heal from this. You know, I feel sometimes too that like if we are presented with the idea of getting back with somebody and we know it doesn't feel good, but we're trying to do it anyhow just so we're not alone, not healthy, okay? Here for the Five of Pentacles, you have the Devil popping out in reverse. This is essentially, and with the Seven of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, this is essentially looking into a situation for what it is. It's looking into a situation for its codependent natures. How are we codependent? How are we stepping into and maintaining toxic connections with a partner, within ourselves? You know, when we go back into situations of this nature that are unhappy, that are not satisfying, that are put us in harm's way, you know, where is our self-value? Where is our worth? Where are the, you know, where is that? How do we hold ourselves in regard? Like, what type of regard do we hold ourselves in? You know, it's that type of energy, like questioning that. Here, the Devil is in reverse with this Five of Pentacles. It's talking about looking at the situation for what it is, evaluating it for what it is. Do you want to put more energy into this or not? Here, the Devil in reverse talks about releasing codependent bonds. It's no longer wanting to be part of them. The Five of Pentacles, too, I do want to mention briefly. With the Five of Pentacles, often you see two people. Here they have three, but the two people in the background, it's often considered the blind leading the blind, or, you know, being tied to somebody who is just as, you know, down in the dumps as you are, but maintaining it, you know, trying to maintain that, you know, I'll stand by my man forever, even if he's like, you know, terrible. Like, that, why would you do that? Like, it's not something that you want to do. So here with the Devil in reverse, it's helpful because it allows us to see those codependent connections. It allows us to recognize things, especially with this Ace of Swords right here next to it. This is talking about looking at the truth. This bird here, though, this falcon, he's got his eyes shut, yet he's standing on the truth. Don't stand on the truth with your eyes shut. Don't not look at it because you're afraid, or because if you look at it, you're going to have to step away from it. Step away from it. Show me the Ace of Swords for Virgo. The Knight of Cups with the Temperance card. So in regard to this, I think this is really important for you to be very honest with yourself, with your emotional aspect. Be very true with your emotions, what you've cultivated in the situation and the aftermath. If somebody has a plan to resurrect something or they want to communicate their feelings towards you, you know, I'd be very wary of that. That's where I would put my blinders on. I wouldn't want to engage in this situation. And also, too, for some reason here with this Emperor, I feel here that like this person is more so, well, the Knight of Cups can also be somebody who will tell you what you want to hear. And for some reason, I'm feeling here, Virgo, that this person will tell you what you want to hear to get what they want. And I think you need to be very conscious of that and be careful, you know, because it's easy to get sucked in, you know? It is easy to get sucked in. So let's go ahead and I'm grabbing this deck. I don't know why. Show me some advice for Virgo. Well, that was very, very, very quick. Ace of Swords. So in regard to the Ace of Swords here, Virgo, the Ace of Swords, again, it's highlighted again. It talks about cutting through bullshit. It talks about being real. It talks about being honest with ourselves, creating clarity in a situation, being genuine, knowing what we want and speaking the truth behind that, not mincing your words, being absolutely out on the table with everything that makes sense for you, you know. And it also talks about cutting people loose. It talks about recognizing what's toxic here and letting it go, being tired enough to want to free yourself and release it, okay? So I will pull an oracle card for you guys, and then we will close this up. I have to get this little booklet because it fell behind the table. All right. Show me energy present for Virgo. Virgo. Okay, well that was very quick. That just popped out. Night blooming water lily. I've never picked this card. I think it's gorgeous though. These are all hand painted. Night blooming water lily. I've never picked this card. I'm very curious to see what it says now for you, Virgo. Love, night blooming water lily. Love, purity, optimism, eloquence. Water lilies are aquatic plants that grow in a variety of conditions, given that they have a body of still water to reside in. In many cultures, they symbolize purity and love and are popular in wedding bouquets. They anchor their roots in the mud and produce a flower that blooms above the water. These flowers always return every year, even after the waters have dried up in the previous seasons. Perhaps you too have bloomed from the muddiness of life. Okay, so but what I'm feeling here is stagnancy. Like when we are stuck in the mud, don't be stuck in the mud, you know. And also I feel here too, like the desire to try and resurrect something that's beautiful out of something that's stuck in the mud. I feel that that's detrimental. I don't feel that that's a healthy thing, you know. I know it's a beautiful card and I know its message seems beautiful, but it feels like we're almost trying to create something beautiful out of a place that feels dead, you know. Be careful about that. I'm going to pull a clarifier for this night blooming lily. Show me night blooming lily. Yeah, you have the 9 of Swords here, Virgo. With this hoping and wanting and desiring, I feel that this is for people who are wanting to resurrect something here. It's the 9 of Swords. It leaves you mentally frustrated. It's unending mental frustration. It's cycling over and over again. It's not releasing it, you know. And some of you are literally stuck in the idea of how you can resurrect this, how you can make it happen, how you can cause this healing and change. And sometimes the healing and change literally is by letting go. And I feel here that somebody is having a very difficult time letting go of something that needs to be let go of. And, you know, that's okay, but don't let it hurt you. Don't let it get in the way of your life. You know, don't let it encompass you and consume you so that you're confused all the time. Like, this is, do you see this? It's interesting, this card. There's an angel in it. They're sitting in rubble with these 9 of swords above their head, with 2 rings over the 9 of swords, connected rings, almost like marriage rings, I'm feeling, or connectivity rings. And then you have this angel chained to this. It's like you're chained to this idea. You're chained to the connection. Give me one more for the 9 of swords. One more. Yeah, man. 7 of Pentacles. Look at the situation for what it is. Look at what it's provided you. Be honest with yourself. You know, don't make up stories in your mind. Don't make up fabrications. Don't get caught in that web. Just be very clear with yourself in regard to what it is that makes sense for you and move away from this. This doesn't feel like it's healthy to be part of. Here we have the 8 of Swords here. So this is making stories up in our mind. Well, what if I did this? And maybe this would be this way if he did this or she did this. And here are those 2 rings again. Do you see them? Interesting. Very interesting. Interesting. And then we have Judgment here with these 2 rings. And then we have Justice with these 2 rings. Okay. Be very careful about what you're getting involved in here. Be very careful about it. I don't think this is something to hold on to. This is not something to hold on to, I don't feel. The 3 of Cups in reverse. This is disharmony. And then the Devil under that. It's disharmony. It's upheaval. It's not something that's easygoing. This is a lesson. These types of relationships are lessons, you guys. I think a lot of us want to hold on to what we believe is ours. And, you know, we love somebody, so you have to love them to death and till death do you part and all this stuff. And it's like, no, if it's unhealthy, let it go. Like, literally let it go. You can't fix somebody, especially when they don't want to be fixed. If they don't see a problem and they're not willing to change, why are you in it? Why are you in it? Okay? So, I hope that this reading was helpful, Virgo. And yeah, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to leave a donation, you're totally welcome to. And the link is in the description box below for that. And I will be back in a couple of weeks with your mid-May reading of 2019. All right. I hope everything's well. Get away from this. This is not cool. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.